Even though presidential candidates are no longer shaking hands and kissing babies, the race for the White House hasn't stopped. Trump campaign is now reaching voters online.
The campaign, like its leader, President Trump, has one gear, and that is forward.
Hey everybody.
Buenas noches.
Hello and welcome.
Hi everyone. We have the best data in the country. We have the best infrastructure laid out. And so now we get to capitalize on that data, on this infrastructure, to take our events online to the American public.
You might not see anyone going door to door. Those same volunteers are now making campaign calls from home.
While President Trump is focused on the health and safety of the American people, we here at the campaign are committed to defeating the Democrats, and how all of you at home can help us and join in this fight.
Its online campaign reached more than 1 million viewers.
It really is new age campaigning.
Just let's realize how good Donald Trump's political operation is.
The Trump Organization has a well-documented, robust online infrastructure, what they call their Trump Army.
Tonight, I am honored to launch Catholics for Trump Coalition.
And welcome to our very first Black Voices for Trump online broadcast.
How can women stay engaged and informed?
I could not feel more proud about this country.
President Trump has done about everything that you can do.
The Biden's record on notable job-killing trade deals.
I'm supporting NAFTA.
We're so fortunate to have a wartime president to lead us through this global challenge.
And we're going to get through it.
And we are going to keep America great.
Well, hello and welcome to Team Trump Online. I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle, and this is...
Me.
Donald Trump Jr. Exactly. He's able to identify himself. We're off to a good start. Thank you for joining us today. And we hope that you and your families are safe and healthy and getting through this tough time together. But I do know the best is yet to come. We will emerge stronger on the other end. But we wanted to take a few minutes to be able to give you a little bit of the update about what we've been doing on the campaign since we went virtual overnight. In about 24 hours, this campaign was able to successfully change and transform itself, much like the innovators in this country, and go to a completely virtual experience. And that's what part of this is, that we want to come into your homes and be able to reach you and talk to you about what's going on so that we stay connected through this time. And it has been incredible, the numbers that we've been able to hit. And with just these Team Trump Online, roughly 1 million people are connected, able to reach one another when we do these talks. And so it's pretty incredible when you see the power of the technology and what we can do when we put our minds to it.
I think I should drink a lot of caffeine before these, Kimberly, and get really hyper and tune in a lot more than 1 million people.
Oh, do you think that would be it?
Yes.
Well, I think you're doing well on the caffeine count so far. We'll see if he's able to answer all of the questions.
I'm going to have maybe a low energy moment.
Don't do that. We don't want low energy Jeff.
After a month of quarantine with Kimberly, she's probably close to killing me. So I'm just pushing my boundaries right now to see how far we can take it, guys.
We shall see. We shall persevere. So let me talk to you about some of these numbers. On a recent National Day of Action, we had 2,000 volunteers, God-loving, God-fearing, liberty and freedom-loving people connected, and they were able to do 1.4 million calls in just one day alone. That just shows you the power when people put their hearts and minds into something like they have with really supporting this incredible president of the United States, Donald Trump. We can achieve anything together. And another great way for all of you at home, if you'd like to get involved with all of us, is you can join our Trump Victory Finance Committee, and I am proud to serve as the national chairwoman for the Trump Victory Finance Committee, and we are a populist army of Trump supporters raising money and bundling across this incredible country. utilizing our friends and family networks, peer-to-peer contact, to be able to reach out to even a few people we know to see if they would like to join this army across the country to raise money for the president. Donations average even $38. We are proud to have those 38 hard-earned American dollars to go towards helping this president keep the gas in the tank to win resoundingly on November 3rd and get reelected. So we call ourselves, we're bundlers, ABB, always be bundling. And we go out and we raise money on behalf of the president. It's a completely volunteer army, which is really remarkable. The president loves that aspect of it. And it really plays a crucial role for the Republican Party and the president. We're called Trump Victory. And we're putting up great numbers, and we're continuing to do that during this difficult time, because one way or the other, there is an election coming on November 3rd. So you can join our incredible nationwide army of bundlers at Trump Victory Finance Committee, and you can go to donaldjtrump.com/bundle, or you can text bundle to 88022. So it's very easy. Even you can do it, Don.
I don't know about that. Technology is not my strong suit. If you need something beaten with a blunt object, I'm probably your guy. But
Yes.
the tech stuff is where you start
Not
losing
a
me.
lot of,
But I will say this: I mean, it is pretty amazing. All kidding aside, I've done calls like this, whether it be with groups in the individual state, mobilizing those teams. The amount of people that have jumped on and seized the opportunity to be a part of this movement, to get involved, to try to either bundle or to make calls or to drive the vote or whatever it may be, is truly outstanding. I mean, it's amazing that given everything that's going on, all the hardship that honestly everyone in this country right now is facing, they still get that this president is the president with the resolve to make the tough decisions, to make the right decisions. When he shut down the country and stopped more sick people from coming in, wasn't an easy call to make, and everyone said he was being racist by doing it. But you know what? He's the guy that makes the right call when it matters. And I think these people and the people that have been on all of these calls, they've recognized that. And they want him to be the guy to build up the economy when that time is right. So the amount of people that have jumped in and gotten involved has been truly awesome. And I just want to thank everyone for doing that, because it's really special and means a lot.
Everybody's very grateful. So, Don, we have some great questions for you that are coming in. And one in particular, this is some news that just developed, a question from Alan Johnson. How much of an impact do you think that Comrade Bernie is going to have on the DNC? Because, of course, he did just come in and announce that he was going to he's endorsing Joe Biden.
I'm shocked to hear that. Listen, I think he's going to try to exert a lot of influence. That's the reality. He said he's putting the campaign on hold, but he's keeping his delegates, and he's going to push the Democrat Party very far to the left. And honestly, when you look at what they've done, when you look at the people who are really the thought leaders of the Democrat Party, they are very far left. They're trying to sell to the American public that they're not and that they're moderate, but there's nothing about these platforms, whether it's Joe Biden attacking our energy sector versus him calling shutting down travel from Wuhan, China, racist and xenophobic as opposed to really intelligent. I think Bernie's going to have a lot of influence. And the real problem is Bernie's going to have a lot of influence because Joe Biden doesn't know where he is 50% of the time. Yeah. I mean, that's what's really scary. I mean, just yesterday, Joe Biden did an interview with Bernie Sanders, similar to what we're doing right now.
In times of crisis.
And it was a conversation with a colleague. I mean, don't forget, Joe Biden was in the Senate for 30 years or whatever it is. So is Bernie. They've known each other forever. And Joe Biden is clearly on a teleprompter.
I like to close by saying, Bernie, as Jill and I told you and Jim,
to have a conversation with someone who's endorsing him. This is, again, a guy that can't remember what state he's in 50% of the time, can't remember what positions he's able to.
Yeah.
While Sean King and some of these radical left-wing people are coming out and saying, I can't believe it. How can the guy is incapable of having a conversation? I think, talking about, the virus and everything going on. I mean, you guys saw it yourselves, I'm sure. What wasn't censored by the social media and media masters. Mm-hmm. Joe Biden did a 2-point press conference less than a week ago. 2 points he had. He couldn't remember either of them. Now, if you had a 27-point plan and you forgot point number 19 and got through all that, okay, you know what? It happens, right?
It's 2 points.
2 points. Can't remember a single one. So, I think the reality is if Joe Biden's the candidate and he's the president, who's really making the decisions? Because no one in their right mind would say it's him. And if Donald Trump made the errors, and they joke, oh, it's a gaffe, it's always been his way. No, it hasn't. Go look at a video of Joe Biden 10 years ago and tell me it's the same guy today. It's not.
I'm supporting NAFTA because I think it is a positive thing to do, but not because I think it's going to cure the workers' fears who have legitimate reason to be concerned.
And in addition to that, we have to make sure that we are in a position that we are. Well, let me go to the second thing.
And we all know it. And if Donald Trump made those mistakes on a daily basis, the left, the media, and every television psychologist would be out there screaming, 25th Amendment, remove him from office. He's in the late stages of dementia and Alzheimer's and everything else you could imagine. Get him out. They're not doing that. And, the fact that, Joe Biden is, the best thing they got.
Well, now, but so you don't feel that the impact of Bernie Sanders endorsing him is it's going to. I
don't think it's going to change it, and I don't think there's anyone enthusiastic about Joe Biden, and I've seen it. I think you've been with me on a few occasions where we'll run into a Bernie bro, and it's basically like, hey, if it's not my guy, we're voting for your guy. And the reality is that, whether you like him or not, I think most of Bernie's policies are frankly very dangerous. But the idea of the things he's talked about in trade. That's what my father's talked about forever. And the difference is my father got it done. My father did those things, whether it be renegotiating NAFTA, whether it be trade deals with China, all the things that we're going to have to do, frankly, a lot harder now, given the new world in which we're living in. That's the guy I want doing it, the guy that's actually done it, not the guy that's talked about it for 30 years, the guy that's actually done it. So I don't think the endorsement really changes anything.
So we've got a question from Austin, Frank Galaccia, which is, with China virus changing the political landscape, how worried are you that the current health and financial needs will lead us closer to socialism? This is something campaign you and I talk about under President Trump. America will never be a socialist country. That's what you can count on.
Well, you can count on that. It was a big part. I wrote a book. It was a bestseller, last year and I guess into this year. And I wrote about my experience with, socialism/communism, because I have a mother that actually escaped from those systems. And people are doing what we're going through right now is socialism. It's like, we got a pandemic going on. That doesn't mean we waive our rights or anything like that, but to have a common sense to stay inside so we can get this, behind us and back to work. I think it's just a common sense sort of approach to these things. So, I'm not worried about it. But if you look at what the left has put up, this has become a mainstream platform. Look at the voice leaders of the left, of the Democrat Party. And, when I say Democrat Party, I think we got to be very careful. I have a lot of blue-collar Democrat friends for their whole lives have been Democrats, and they voted that way because their grandfather was a Democrat and their father was a Democrat, and they were union guys. And, those same people don't look at their party the same way anymore. This is not your grandparents' Democrat Party. It's really lost its way. And, the key spokespeople and the leaders are, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Bernie. They're not just going quietly. Now, they may sit there quietly and they may take their turn because they're being pragmatic about the approach, and they're going to sit back and, relax. And guess what? They're the ones influencing Nancy Pelosi to make most of her decisions. They have a lot more hold over the Democrat Party. But the Democrats are good at one thing. It's marketing. They're good at selling sort of the image that they're not that way, that they're right down the middle. And they're not at all. They've gone, full on leftist. Again, even Joe Biden, attacking American energy. So he doesn't want our energy independence. He doesn't want the tens and hundreds of thousands of jobs and, the economy aspect of all of that. And instead, we're going to import our energy from Russia and Saudi Arabia. It's nonsensical. But again, even this guy that's been painted as a moderate isn't, and he's adapting the platform of the radical left within the Democrat Party. And that should be something scary to all of us.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to continue with this just after our commercial break. But in the meantime, you can go to DonaldJTrump.com, learn more about our campaign, and see how you too can get involved in joining this incredible populist army across the country supporting our wonderful president. We'll
Kimberly,
be right
have
back.
you done this before?
Yes.
When?
Not fake news.
Not fake news.
More of us and how we've been coping during this.
We're going to kill each other soon.
Through all of this, a little bit of behind the scenes of what we do at home and how we're getting through it. From our home to yours. Stay with us.
I'm ready to go.
This is a crisis.
This is no time for Donald Trump's record of hysterical xenophobia.
Biden's son inked a $1 billion deal with a subsidiary of the Bank of China.
China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. They're not bad folks.
Since the outbreak, the Communist Party has been mobilizing overseas organizations to buy local supplies and send them to China.
It is in our self-interest that China continue to prosper. What a beautiful history we wrote together. Banning all travel will not stop it.
The president is right. That travel restriction on China, as every public health official we've talked to said, bought the country time.
That was a very smart move right there.
Hysterical xenophobia. Xenophobia. I complimented him on dealing with China. I'm not going nuts.
I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle. And we're back. We spend so much time cooped up together, I'm assuming other people's personalities.
You're identifying as me?
I'm identifying as
Oh my God, congratulations.
Yes.
You just
I'm a beautiful woman. It's incredible.
Oh God.
Feels so good.
This is why I have to be the moderator. Okay.
This is why they don't give me the script to follow, guys. I don't.
Take two. Oh my God. This is more of the campaign blooper reel after this. Okay, perfect. These are going to be amazing outtakes. All right, so we're going to.
It's not an outtake, baby. We're going.
Okay, welcome back.
It's going live.
And now we've got Donald Trump Jr. here and KG again back in the driver's seat. We've got a great question. So Steve Sullivan asks, how much has your father influenced who you are, Don Jr.?
Wow. Listen, I think quite a bit, although it's sort of interesting. One of the other things I sort of wrote about and triggered was it took me probably 40 years to know that we were probably a lot similar, than I otherwise ever would have thought, and probably the same with him. I think if you would have asked any one of our family or friends, with my hobbies and the outdoor pursuits and I spend so much time in sort of middle America and, instead of vacationing at a luxury resort, it's like with a backpack in the Yukon, so everyone was sort of, hey, sort of probably, out there relatively for the family, just based on that. I think I always probably, and people always recognize perhaps my father's similar personality in terms of sense of humor and willingness to break balls. I can say that on live stream, right?
Well, you've done it
now I have. And so, again, easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. It took me
about 3 minutes to realize that you two are actually very similar.
Yeah, I mean, even the hand gestures, the way we speak. So there's a lot of similarity, but it was sort of interesting. In business, when he was running those things, fine, he's the expert, he knows what's going on. Once we got into politics, it was sort of a whole new game. And when I really figured out how much, more influence he probably had on me was, over the last, especially 3 years, end of the race, when it started getting really brutal in 16 and into the first couple of years of this with the Russia hoax and the this, and, I was just such a big target as part of that as well.
Certainly.
When backed into a corner, I say, wait a second, we're the guys that actually have exactly the same personalities.
Well, you guys both fight.
So, I remember just being in those situations and, my lawyers are saying, you can't be that aggressive on TV and on Twitter and this, anything that you say, they'll use against you. And I was like, I don't care because I'm right. And so I'm going to keep fighting and doing things that way. And that's when I realized, reminds me a lot more of someone than, again, what I would have even seen. It took sort of politics, and it really, more importantly than politics, is it sort of took, that amount of just vicious adversity, that amount of attack, backed in a corner. I said, wait a second, we're the same guy. We just hadn't been backed in the corner the same way.
That's true. So something really interesting happened. Which thing? Well, first of all, we got a recommendation from our friend Sergio and from Eric and Laura Trump and our friend Lynn Patton to watch Tiger King. Do you remember this? And I kept saying, Don, we got to watch. Is it? What are you talking about? What is it? What's going on?
Yeah, and contrary to popular belief, I'm not like one of those I don't watch like pop culture TV.
Maybe like Netflix.
Yeah, I do stuff, but I'm not like I don't watch reality TV. I don't. I understand.
Reality show.
And I have not seen another reality TV show. I was on. Maybe being on one's different than being watching one. Okay, I'm going to make an exception here.
Okay.
So I don't even watch that kind of TV. So I reluctantly turned on Tiger King.
And then we binge watched it, and you ate a whole quart of ice cream.
Yes, I ate a whole quart of ice cream during the first half, and then we watched, the second half of the entire show in sitting number 2. So we watched the whole thing. Was it like 8 episodes?
Yeah.
In 2 sittings.
So it was pretty cool.
With a tub of ice cream, basically by myself. I think I give you a little bit.
He gave you one bite. I said, "Can I have some?" And it was like a half of a teaspoon. And he's dead serious and fed that to me, and that was it. Anyway, so yeah, real generous. So here's the thing. So we were watching this. It's great. Then Don, with the sugar, the caffeine, of course, takes to Twitter, takes to Instagram, does interviews like this.
Baby, the memes were legendary.
Legendary. And then he does this whole thing. He talks about how, Joe exotic, this is unfair, that perhaps he should get a pardon, sort of, tongue-in-cheek.
Well, I was on like Jim Norton's show, and Jim is just a comedian, but he's been a friend of mine for a while. And I used to do, I went back on the show, mostly I'd done him when he was on the Opie and Anthony show, before so, sometimes it's fun just to be able to, what I like about politics, I'm not just going on another political talk show to go on with real guys and have some fun. So they asked about, would I rather pardon, him or, then he asked about pardoning Avenatti. I mean, we were having sort of a good time. And it was, by the way, the one time I'll give the press credit.
Mm-hmm.
Normally when I say something on you could be on Howard Stern and they'll say, oh my God, he was dead serious. It's like, no, I'm on a comedy show. Like, we're having a little bit of fun, and you're still allowed to do that in this country.
And Junior thinks he's really funny.
I do think I'm really funny at times, okay? And but normally they take what's obviously a joke and run with it as though I said, instead of like, ha, 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 it's like exclamation point. He was dead serious.
But
so at least they were, even the New York Times and some of these guys were, Don Jr. jokingly said, I was like, oh, wow, that was amazing. But then they asked about it in the press briefing.
Thank you for picking up what I'm putting down. Here we go. So it's very funny because I guess his dad does know him pretty well, because it was very funny when one of the reporters asked the president about the Tiger King, Joe Exotic. And by the way, one of your sons asked that, could you pardon the Tiger King? And what did your dad say?
Your son yesterday jokingly said that, he was going to advocate for it. And I was wondering if you've seen the show and if you have any thoughts on pardoning Joe Exotic.
Which son? It must be Don. I had a feeling it was Don. Is that what he said? I don't know. I know nothing about it. He has 22 years for what? What did he do?
He allegedly hired someone to murder an animal rights activist, but he said that he didn't do that. And he was.
You think he didn't do it? Are you on his side?
Had to be done. Had to be done. Sounds like Don. Had to be done. Yeah. So he knows me.
Which is very funny. And so I bet you later.
Well, then it was funny. He actually called me like late that night.
Yeah.
He's still in the Oval Office, and it was just like, so what's with this? So we had a couple seconds, before sort of checking in and him getting back to work, where he was, fascinated about what was going. Because he
was asked about it.
I think Melania may have showed him one of the memes that I had posted, which was like Donald Trump's face with like Tiger King mullet, which was pretty epic. And he goes, "That wasn't what was that thing?"
What was it?
So it was pretty interesting.
It is very funny, and in fact, look what's happening here. We're getting.
By the way, I am getting a kind of Tiger King mullet here, guys.
It's growing, and then you Instagrammed yourself.
Baby, how come
Tiger King?
The roots are still perfect? What's been going on?
I mean, thank God.
It must be natural at all.
Thank God.
Not even a little bit, huh?
Yes, I'm very grateful.
And even the nails. I wonder what's going on.
And I'm just keeping it together. I'm trying to do some do-it-yourself.
See, I actually don't care enough, so I'm just like, the beard's been nice, though.
God, they can tell.
I dressed up so much. I put a T-shirt on and a fleece. But baby, I thought it was pretty good. He did put his pants on. He had pirate pajamas on. I had my Skull and Crossbones pirate pajamas on 5 minutes before this started. Kimberly gave me one of those looks. And I'm looking now because I thought it was like normal webcam. Yeah. But with this angle a little bit higher, they can actually see my pants, I think. And so the pirate pajama would have definitely been an added touch and probably turned into a meme that I wouldn't be able to escape for a couple of months.
Scary thing. So I have a question from Joni Hagler about virtual rallies, because we were on the campaign trail 24/7 with your father and opening up a lot for him for a pre-program along with the VP. Normally, the rallies, they average anywhere from 20,000 on up, right? And these broadcasts, though, are actually averaging about 1 million viewers. So it's pretty interesting. It's sort of like a rally, and maybe
it is. Listen, the rally is. For those of you who've been, you get it, and you know it. For those of you who haven't, you got to go check it out. I mean, the energy. It's like the best rock concert you could have ever gone to. I mean, people are really there. So I love doing the rallies because you feel that energy. When I get out there on stage, and maybe just because I got a little bit of that firebrand kind of thing, they like that, and but the energy is so awesome. The people are so awesome. They're just so welcoming, and it's actually great to see. You just get such a good taste of real America. And it was interesting because we started getting on that trail again. Whether it was New Hampshire, and we went to some of the primary states, and it was interesting to see a couple of articles from people that are just dyed-in-the-wool Democrats that were like, I'm just going to go to see what happened, and then they wrote about the experience, and honestly, it's like they were red-pilled almost. I mean, because they were told by their other liberal, you can't go there, that's fishy, and they were like, I saw nothing like that. It was really an amazing deal.
It's good.
So this is going to be a cool way to do it, and honestly, I don't know that anything ever changes that in-person feeling, of those things, but the fact, again, that we're getting this kind of turnout, when I'm doing the stuff on the state level, you're getting, big stuff, your stuff that you're doing individually. I mean, people are still engaged in the process, and so it's a totally different format and venue, but, if you're able to have a little bit of fun, and I try to do that no matter what, and, not take just about anything, too seriously, I think that it still works.
It really does. But you know what? There is something to be said. Nothing more beautiful than all those Americans lined up outside waiting to see the president. Some of them get in, some, don't, but they're just as enthusiastic.
It's great.
In all weather, whatever it is.
I live for it. I mean, when we've gone through so much and all of this, and you see the result, and you see everything that's going on, and you see people just so proud. Honestly, there's no better feeling, for me certainly than, being up there on that stage and seeing that kind of warmth. It's absolutely awesome. So I look forward to getting back and doing that when it makes sense to do it. Right now, that's not the case, but, that doesn't mean we stop working. It doesn't mean we give up and we just don't put everything else on hold. We get out there and we do it this way.
All right. And we're going to take a quick commercial break. I'm seeing a lot of great questions about the youth of America, how they can get involved in this incredible movement across this country. So stay with us and we'll be right back.
President Trump cruises to victory with a record-breaking Republican turnout.
Trump got more total votes than Obama got as an incumbent.
Republican turnout operation in Texas is extraordinary.
Complete domination.
Receiving more primary votes than any sitting president.
We're winning. We're winning all over.
We had record turnout for an incumbent president.
The Republican Party has never been unified like it is now.
Turnout was also huge for Donald Trump.
President Trump celebrating a record-breaking victory.
It's not even a party, it's a movement.
More than President Obama had by a wide margin.
Let's realize how good Donald Trump's political operation is.
To all Americans tonight, I'm with you, the American people. I am with you, I will fight for you, and I will win for you. And we are going to keep America great.
Hey, welcome back to our Trump Talk. I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle along with
me.
He still doesn't know his name, but it is Donald Trump.
And don't forget Mario, a star of Mutts for Trump.
Yes, MAGA Mutts for Trump. He's having a MAGA meetup later.
He was sleeping behind us in the couch, so we figured we'd introduce him.
Yep. He's got his little Trump collar on too, which is adorable. All right. So we want to talk about how the youth can get involved across the country, because quite frankly, if you recall, remember we were in New Hampshire and we went to all different polling sites, how many young people were there volunteering and helping out and wanting to get involved. And certainly you can go to, our website, get involved. You can volunteer at any of those places. It was really exciting to see. And they were out there even at 6 a.m. in very bad weather, storms and snow and rain, out there trying to let their voice be known, because it's important. We do a lot across college campuses to reach out and talk to the young people, to get them involved, to know that they have a political choice and a voice, to really kind of step back from the indoctrination that we see happening on college campuses.
Yeah, well, obviously, listen, there's stuff that you can volunteer at the campaign offices, great way to get started. The people who are involved in some of these call days, I imagine there's places to get integrated there. And honestly, as a young person, being able to pick up the phone, call, essentially a stranger and, be able to talk to them, through these things as a volunteer. I mean, honestly, one of the great lessons probably early in life is being able to sort of just get over the, natural apprehensions of sort of being forward and doing those things. So I think that would be a great way to get people started when they're young. Your local GOP offices, same thing, get involved in door knocking and go around, and there's all sorts of, programs within there. And,
That's true.
you're right. We do a lot with Turning Point USA, our friend Charlie Kirk, who started that, incredible youth organization.
Yes, Mike Donahue said that he's seen us there and met us both at the Turning Point USA Summit, which is great.
Yeah, and they're great. And I mean, that's what's interesting. I mean, we did a bunch, before and around, the book tour with Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And we literally go to college campuses in Colorado and Arizona and California. And, we did, Georgia, Penn State. We were there. I mean, we're filling up auditoriums. These are college, campuses. And, we had one place where I think we had 14,000 reservations for there. Of course, the university only gave us an auditorium that sat 1,500, but guess what? We filled it up. And, honestly, we were turning away young conservative students. So they're there, guys. It just may take a little bit, more ability to get them to come out, to be able to talk about it, to be able to be more vocal about it because of the way they are on campuses. But for me, it was really enlightening. To be able to see sort of the amount of conservatives that were showing up at these, pretty liberal places. So they're there. You may not always, they may not be vocal about it. They may not be. So I think if you're a conservative kid and you're young, get involved in these organizations. I think you'll be amazed.
Your young Republicans groups and form one if they don't have one. Run for public, for office at your university. Become, student body, class president or vice president or something, and really change the dynamic. We've seen that. So people have been really brave and said, you know what, I'm going to take a stand at my school and make sure so people know this is a safe environment to express, yourself. You shouldn't feel like you're, being scrutinized or that you're being, discriminated against at your school by virtue of what your political beliefs are. So we go where we're popular or where we're not, because we got to show people lead by example, right?
Yeah, we had a couple times where the protest crowd was.
But who had?
You did?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
I took care of it.
No, they yell pretty loud, but they don't really usually have anything intelligible to say. So you come back at them with actual facts. It's like leftist kryptonite, so I can assure you it's not a problem.
Oh my gosh, you're making me so happy right now.
Why?
Because that just provided the perfect segue to my next question. You're going to get a little Scooby snack later because that was really good what you did. Scooby snack means one of the Magomet snacks. Okay, so let's give, this is great, from Jesse Gomez. Can you provide us with 3 talking points to be armed with that will trigger a loony lib, a loony lefty when we talk with them?
Well, listen, obviously, I think you can talk about just the accomplishments, right? Now America's been thrown into the world, has been thrown into a tailspin. But you talk about, the economy they were able to create with common sense application, record numbers across the platform. I mean, again, this disease, this pandemic, has really thrown some of that into a tailspin. But guess what? I want the guy who's actually done it before.
And who set up the fundamentals of the economy that'll carry us forward.
That didn't just magically happen. That came because you had someone who's actually signed the front of a paycheck, not just the back, making decisions and doing things from a pragmatic business standpoint. Just like now they try to blame him for coronavirus. Well, guess what? Even some of these people in these institutions who are involved right now, at the end of February, they're talking about, don't worry about it. You can still go down there. Guess what? Weeks before that, Donald Trump shut down travel from the hot zones because he said this seems like the right thing to do. He's not a doctor. He's got to listen to those guys, but he also has a lot of common sense. That doesn't matter. And, you can also talk about the hypocrisy from the left. I mean,
yes, and Hunter Biden in China. How about that?
Yeah. Who's going to be tough on China now when, it's clear that this started with them? They lied about it. They gave a bunch of disinformation. They downplayed it in an effort to save face. They threatened to withhold, antibiotics from us because they control our supply chains. Well, guess what? Donald Trump was right all along. We need American manufacturing. We need to control some of our own destiny. We cannot let a communist dictator regime in a time of crisis control, what we have or threaten to. And they were clearly willing to do that. So guess what, guys? That's MAGA 2016. has been proven right because of this pandemic. I mean, guess what? We can also control our borders. Shocking. And guess what? When there's a will and a desire to do so, it's not so hard. That was the great irony of, the president of Mexico being like, yeah, you know what? We're going to shut down the travel. Wait a minute. So you're saying all this time before that it wasn't a problem, but now that we have more coronavirus than you did because, our big population centers, now you can shut down the border. I mean, give me a break, guys. It was interesting this past weekend, to watch, even Bill Maher came out, was, did a whole skit on calling it the China virus in Wuhan, and he went through the list of, this is Bill Maher, like someone who's been throwing fuel on the leftist fire for decades, and even he's had enough of the BS. And I can say that because that's really what it is. There is no other word for it. So, you can go do that, and you can be respectful about it, and you got to ask people, when they come up with a lot of their facts, like, is that true, or did you just see it on CNN? Because there's a big difference, and people wouldn't always know that.
No, it's really true, and that's the thing. But you're very good, I have to say, about pointing out the hypocrisy.
I'm able and willing to fight back. The problem is this. I think we had a good example, perhaps, of this on The View when we did that one, right?
True, yeah.
People are like, oh my God, it's like, because if they don't invite me back again, I don't care.
Down. Joy, you've worn blackface. Whoopi,
No,
you
I
said
haven't.
I'm sorry, and don't. You said that Roman Polanski, it wasn't rape when he raped a child. So let's talk about
let's talk about this. So you want to bring this up? The question came up.
I did not go in blackface, please.
No, she was not in blackface.
Thank you.
29. It was a Halloween party. I went as a beautiful African woman.
Oh, yes, you ain't black.
But that's my hair. That's my hair.
You can be, yeah, but it is.
So the whole point of
why
it is
are you
that curly
upset with
hair
me
is
now?
coming back.
I thought
That is me.
Did you have tanning lotion on,
A
Joy?
little. I had makeup that was a little bit darker than my skin.
It's good fix it.
But that's my actual hair.
It means absolutely nothing to me. I was there. I was on a. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like. I don't need to sell something on The View. Like that,
well, they didn't even ask you a question.
That was the other part. They brought me in there, and they brought us in there in good faith to sort of talk about my book. We did 3 whole segments. It was basically 3/4 of the show, and they didn't ask me one question. So, I think I showed remarkable restraint.
For you, yes.
Especially for me, because I'm not exactly known for restraint.
Yeah.
Fair point. Fact check, true. But. Once you hit a certain point, you push back, and people are like, wow, that was amazing. It's like, because I want nothing from them. I need nothing from them. It's the same thing with us as business people, and again, us versus Hunter Biden. Like, if Donald Trump Jr. took $1.5 billion from China, $1.5 billion, okay, that in the fund world, for those who don't know when they're tuning in, the fund world usually pays on a 2 and 20, right? 2% management fee, 20% of the upside profit goes to the fund manager. So on a $1.5 billion investment into Hunter Biden's funds, that's $30 million a year in fees at 2%. That's right. A 2%, $30 million a year. You think Joe Biden's going to be tough on China? He's been soft on China his whole life. Yeah. He said, come on, China's not our competition.
Sweetheart relationship.
He probably doesn't know who China is, where they are. He probably has no idea. For all he knows, that's the nice old lady at the grocery store that he saw earlier that day. But this is someone who is going to be making major decisions. And in the post-COVID-19 world, we're going to have to reassess a lot of those things, in my opinion. So we need someone with some guts to actually do that, not someone who's on the payroll.
Absolutely. Well, there's a big choice to be made on November 3rd. And you can, pick someone who's essentially in bed with China, or you can pick somebody that wants to put America first and does every single day he's in office. That's Donald Trump.
Kimberly, I got to ask you a question.
Yes.
How awesome, on a scale of really, really awesome to super awesome, has it been to be trapped in a house with me for about a month? No breaks, no peace and quiet.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
want our viewers to experience how incredible that is, because honestly, it's got to be really good.
It's amazing. I think I'm getting the miracle ear for Christmas, because I literally cannot hear out of the ear anymore. But besides that, it's good. He is kind of loud. I've been cooking, though, a lot. We had a nice Easter dinner, so it's been good. We're trying to make the most.
Kimberly's become quite domestic.
Domestic what?
Domestic goddess.
That's correct.
It's pretty impressive. But I was probably always, and I don't do as much of it as I used to, but always more of the cook if we did something. But like, Kimberly's honestly, she's put together some solid meals. It's not like we're making reservations and ordering in. So I have to give credit where credit is due. She's and baby, you made Easter dinner was not only incredible and really well presented and really good, but she did it in like full-blown like Kimberly outfit, which was like, way over the top, too much hair and makeup and pink jumpsuit, and like didn't get a single.
I did that.
Whereas I could not cook like that without destroying whatever it is I was wearing.
Or
now,
eat like that.
if you destroy what I wear, not really much downside. You just wear it with the stains, right?
He's great, but he's a great eater, so he's a good audience to have. He always gets seconds and thirds. Oh my God. He ate the Easter bunny, little Easter bunny butt cake that was so cute that we found. But it's fun. It's been a good time to bond, like I'm sure it has for all of you at home. You try and make the most of it. Look at the bright side, stay healthy and stay focused and say your prayers. But we want to thank you all for being involved and for welcoming us into your homes during this time. We deeply appreciate you. We hope that you continue to spread the word about President Trump and get involved in this incredible campaign. Please visit armyfortrump.com. And always you can text to 88022 to get involved, and we'll keep you up to date on everything going on with the campaign, including these Team Trump talks that we're doing online.
And if we get a good turnout, I may volunteer myself to do more of them, just so I can drive Kimberly crazy for an hour online. She can't really stab me in the face or anything like that.
Send help.
And, Kimberly, blink 30 times if he's holding you hostage.
Yeah. Somebody wrote that one.
That was actually one of the more creative hater responses I'd seen on my Instagram feed. But you can tune into our social channels as well to see what we're thinking about for the day. But if this goes over well, and we see a lot of positive commentary, maybe we'll do it a little bit more often, have a little bit of fun, and hopefully bring a little bit of fact and a little bit of levity into our households in these trying times. So thank you so much, guys. You're the best.
Thank you. God bless you.
We will see you soon.
Keep it great.